Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order this regular meeting of the Killingly Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission, and we'll start with a roll call.
Sandy Biggers.
Here.
Rodney Dalton.
Here.
Chris McDonald.
Here.
Karina Torrey.
Paul
Okay,
Archer is absent with notification.
with notification, and that would be it then. Okay, first item would be adoption of both the May 1st, 2023 regular meeting and the July 10th, 2023 regular meeting.
Wasn't July a special meeting?
It was.
Yeah, you're right, that would be considered a special meeting, so we'll correct that. Or actually, it probably says it on it, doesn't it?
July 10th?
Yeah.
No, May,
Yeah, July, yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does say special meeting, yep.
okay,
On
yep.
on the agenda, it doesn't.
I wasn't here, so it's up to you guys.
I'll make a motion.
Motion's made and seconded to approve both sets of minutes? Both the July 10th, 2023 special meeting and the May 1st, 2023 regular meeting as they were presented. Any changes or additions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Citizens' participation, if anyone wants to address us on anything other than pending it's application time? Okay. Okay, we'll move right on. First item is unfinished business application 23-1558 of James and Alma Maury for demolition of existing seasonal home and construction of a new year-round residence, 77 Island Road. And actually, this is coming in as unfinished business, but it's actually
I wasn't
like
sure
a
where to put it.
resubmission?
It's not a, it's
You
under
didn't
the
want to make
same-
him wait through the meeting and have to go a month.
No, I was trying not to delay anything.
Okay.
So, it's under the same application. There's a language in our regulations and in the approval letter that basically says if there's a change or a proposed change to come back to the commission. So this was first approved on May 1st with conditions, and Norm can go over what the proposal is.
I'm assuming the conditions couldn't be met or something, or
Right.
something needed to be changed?
Yeah, I'll give you a
Give us a rundown.
Yeah, I'll give you a rundown. So, as you know, like as John says, we were approved on May 1st, and so after the appeal period, we went and did the stakeout, and the owner poured the footings. It was at that time when the footings were poured, it was brought to our attention that the footings seemed to be pretty close to the water, closer than what was shown on the plans and typically what's approved by the commission. So I think you recall during the whole process of this, there was some discussion. First of all, we had done our initial survey back in November, and the high water mark in November.
Wasn't this one of them that we were doing the whole lake elevation discussion?
Yes, yes. So,
Just to bring everyone.
yeah, just to
memory back.
kind of bring it back up to speed. So, anyway, we measured the lake elevation in November. In fact, I've got a little comparison plan. I'll give you copies of it here that you can refer to. And I've got. I'm gonna grab this. I guess I'm not grabbing that. So I have things color coded so that you can kind of see where things are. So there's a red line on the plan, and that was the high water mark that we measured back in November, and then I also have an elevation shown that was actually measured in 2001, and that is the aerial photogrammetry from the town that was done in 2001. If you look at we actually have copies of the CAD files of the entire town that were done back in 2001. And back in 2001, that blue line is where the elevation was shown. So after the first meeting that we came to before this commission, there was discussion that, well, you really should go back out and measure the high water mark because November the water was very, very low. And if you recall that's what we did. So we went back in April, I believe, and at that time, the elevation was 250.7 and that's what we measured around the perimeter, and that was the elevation we came up with. We came back to the commission with that elevation, and there was some confusion and certainly an error on our part, because the ALZOD regulations state that the elevation that you measure off of is 251. I did not recall that number being discussed during the deliberations of this commission. And it is kind of in a weird spot because it's not in the wetland regulations, it's not in the zoning regulations, it's actually in the ALZOD regulations. So, and we were told to go measure the edge of the water, and then there was a lot of discussion about the elevation of the outlet pipe that was on South Shore. So, those are the elevations that we went off of. And then after the fact, when it was brought to our attention that we were really close, and we had a discussion with John, and we went back and realized at that point that the elevation 251 was the mark that we should be measuring off of. The terrain off the shore here is really, really flat, so a couple of tenths and change of the elevation really brings the water in. And that's what happened when we went back and we actually established where that 251 elevation is, and we were found, and it found that we were too close. We were within the setback, and we were supposed to be 15 feet off of it. We weren't. So that being said, we came back. Oh, did I print out the wrong plan?
So wait, so everything started, and then the elevations were caught as everything was in progress? Is this what was going on?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. So
So the elevations that we were given aren't what's actually out there?
the elevations you were given are in fact the outlet, but the outlet is not the high water mark. The high water mark is elevation 251. The outlet pipe is not 251. It's less than 251. That 251 elevation is actually stated within the ALZOD regulations.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is not something we look at all the time, I assume
No,
you do,
which is
Jonathan?
something.
Yeah, that's something that I.
That's
That
it.
goes through the zoning office.
Excuse me, Norm.
Yes.
I do believe a member of this commission brought that up, about where to find that elevation.
Yeah.
So some of that was brought up in the first meeting. There was references to zoning in general,
Yep.
not with the exact number. Unfortunately, some of that conversation carried past when we were discussing the application. And we were talking about the difference between the zoning regs and the wetlands regs. And at that point, we talked about 251, but the applicant's representative was not in the room. That's at least at the first meeting. The second meeting, we had an issue with our audio, and we couldn't really search the record for that.
Right.
Those are very small details that wouldn't necessarily come up in minutes.
Right.
But
The
at least in
reality
that
is we've got a
Yeah.
real problem because of the different elevation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it's I'm not here to make excuses or anything like that. We missed that 251, and as John said, it was mentioned at one point with the commission, but I was not present when that was discussed. But it's clearly within the regulations. So that being said, like I said, I'm not here to point fingers or make excuses. We're here to try and come up with a reasonable solution where my client can build his house. And I've got a couple of different options. One of them, the plan that you have up in back of you, which involves construction of a small retaining wall, and that would require approximately 58 square feet of alteration of the shoreline. And what that would do is it would increase the setback at that building corner to 13 feet. The initial existing conditions, it was 12.4 feet. So I did speak with John about it, and he was amenable to allowing us to meet the previous setback that the original house had. So that's the option that you see on the screen right now. It would require that 58 square feet of a shoreline alteration. I will say that there do appear to be several dozen houses around the lake that have retaining walls around them. Actually, this one does on the what side is that? That would be the north side. There's already an existing retaining wall there that extends to the east as well. The other option I have, and I will pass out a plan, where we would not have to construct a retaining wall, because we do have to show a feasible and prudent alternative if we're proposing to alter or fill wetlands. So.
Have you looked at this one?
Yeah. Okay.
It's tough.
Yep, so option number 2 would be to just cut that corner off the building. And that would allow us to comply with the setbacks and the existing 251 elevation without altering the location of the shoreline.
Just curious, Norm, why not explore a variance to build inside the setback?
We could, but it's the whole thing. I think the one thing with a variance is that, number one, it cannot be self-created,
Right.
And we created it. So.
And also, it is the lake, and that's a different
Yeah.
world, so it may be a different appeal process.
But I
it
do
could-
believe,
I'm not sure.
excuse me, Sandy,
Yep.
I do believe there is a precedent in town that has allowed for variance in a front setback because the foundation was installed before any permits were issued, and they allowed that structure
Yeah.
to stay.
Well, but this permit was issued.
Right.
So it's a crapshoot, quite honestly. So, I think we're sort of taking the route of, well, we know, with my discussions with John, and the relationship I have with this commission, I know these are two options that we can, that you can consider, where we can resolve the issue without having to go to additional meetings or extend it out or anything of that nature. I also do have a copy of a letter that is dated August 5th, and this is from David Pesci, who is the manager of the Alexander's Lake Conservation and Rentals. It says, concerning the revised plan dated 7/31/2023 for the proposed cottage of Mr. James Morey, 77 Island Road, Alexander's Lake. We have reviewed the revised plan and are in agreement with the changes. And then he, as he said previously, he may cut only the trees necessary to do the work, and all work must conform to the Alzad and Lake regulations. So this has been run by them. They're okay with the retaining wall, but as I said, I come before you just offering these options. And, and as far as the setbacks go, I have discussed this with John. The plan that we show here does actually show the garage extended slightly to the front. The newer plan, the one that you have before you, not the one up on the screen, because they're going to be taking a little space out of the garage. I spoke with Mr. Morey today. He says he probably won't even do that, only because they've got small cars and there's no need. They don't really have the need for, it's kind of an oversized single-car garage, 17 and a half feet wide, and he'll have room to put in his snow blower and stuff like that. That's all he really needs. So, I got this, John.
Now, what do you guys, when you're looking, my first gut reaction obviously is to go with the one he just presented, but Rodney, when you look at this and how it all happened and everything, what's your first reaction?
My reaction
You
is
said it shouldn't have happened.
correct. But I'm trying to think going forward, right? So what's to stop this from happening again and again and again, right? So I wouldn't want to see
The retaining wall.
the retaining wall.
Me either.
I would not want to see that.
Yeah. Well, there are many of them. I do have a photograph
Oh, yeah,
of
we-
one right here.
Yeah, we know that there's retaining walls.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one right next door. In fact, Mr. Zadora, who's here this evening, is the property next door. You know, so just coming to listen in.
It just
And-
seems
and
that.
in full
that
disclosure-
your last alternative is the reasonable and easy one.
Yes,
Yeah,
It makes everything go away.
right.
we like things going away in this particular case. You know, so.
This is not a good situation.
No, it's not. Absolutely not. You know, and it's difficult for us to swallow the pill because you know it was our error, and you know we kind of pride ourselves on not making errors, and it was something we missed. So,
It's still a big cottage, even with a little jut.
yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's any more ostentatious than a lot of the.
Oh, no, by the way,
a lot of them that are out there. You're right. So, like I said, you know, I come back before you in an effort to resolve this in a manner that's going to be satisfactory to the commission. I spoke to my client this afternoon, who was going to come and decided that he didn't want to come because he probably would have said something that he regretted. So. And
He just thought he was all approved and was putting up a house.
that's it. Yeah.
And we're not trying to hang you, Norm, but it's important that
Oh.
he understands that it's not the town's fault. that
No,
he
no, no.
stopped either.
That's absolutely not. I'm
That's
not.
very
You know,
important.
I've said that from day one. I've said it to John. I've said it to my client. I said, hey, I mean, my first meeting out there I met with John and my client out there, and the first thing I said to him was, hey, we missed this. I told him straight out. I said, I'm not putting the blame on anybody. You know, that's not what we do. I think if you know, if you do something that's egregious, then you have to own up to it.
Well, the only way, I guess, that you never risk that happening is if you never do anything, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, hey, I'll know. You know, and quite honestly, Sandy, and we've done projects around the lake before, and this has never come up before. You know, so
This one was tight from day one.
yeah,
This
yeah,
one was tight
absolutely,
right
it
from the
is.
start.
There's
It
only
is.
a few cottages that are on, surrounded on more than one side. by
Yeah, I
the
think
lake.
that's probably one of the issues as well too, because you know the other we did one for Howard Haggett, you know, and he's got one side. He's got land on three sides of him, and he's only
Yeah.
got one. You know, this particular cottage has water on three sides, so it just makes it a little more challenging.
Norm, I know we've discussed this a little bit, but on that northern side, the to your right, if you were to shorten up that retaining wall on the bottom a little bit and just kind of feather, like regrade a little bit, could you scoot up more and give your client a little bit more room in his garage, or even like eliminate, like make that jog bigger? You know what I mean? So it's you don't have to redo the floor plan. You know what I mean?
Which one are you talking? Which
Here, I'm gonna-
I'm sorry.
Designer John, not Wetlands John. If you came up, so you still have enough clearance for walk
Mhm.
here, maybe by shortening that corner.
Well,
Could
that,
you-
that
could you-
retaining wall's already there. We're tying into an existing retaining wall in that corner.
Okay.
So we really can't shorten it. We have to pick it up where it leaves off.
Okay, I'm just wondering, like, you know, you pour like that, you know,
Yeah.
like another, like, stem footing,
Yeah,
and then the whole floor plan shifts over.
yeah. Well, I think they're gonna be able to shift within the garage itself.
Okay.
They're the big, I think the area of the house that is of greater importance is not the garage. They got a pretty deep garage. It was 26 feet on the inside.
Okay,
They don't need all of that. So, but that corner where we're proposing to clip off, there's a bathroom and a laundry room and a utilities room there. So the plan is really to kind of push the utilities room into the garage a little bit. And, I mean, they're only losing 15 square feet of floor area here. You know, it's not a lot, you know, so.
And I think you know us well enough that, especially with the way this is played out, the
Mhm.
whole idea of the retaining wall becomes distasteful just because of
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Sure.
situation.
sure.
What's everyone else's take on it?
I would prefer option 2, for sure.
And actually, I don't have a problem with option 2.
No.
Yeah. I mean, the other alternative we talked about too is even kind of connecting the dots over here on an angle and
Just follow the setback
just
line.
kind of
that-
follow the
yeah.
setback line, do a 45 on that corner,
Yep,
you know, and that would serve the same purpose.
right.
You know, but I think it's up to them to talk to the designer of the home first to figure out what's going to be the most appropriate way to
Right.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the detail might be a little tougher,
That might be a little, I think that might be a little weird with the roof line.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Yep,
that would be the biggest
squaring
problem.
it makes a
Yeah.
lot more
it
sense
does.
than a
Yeah.
weird angle.
Anybody else have any thoughts on it?
There was a propane tank we thought was gonna be what blew up.
Yeah, yep.
Yep.
And I think.
Oh, you haven't installed that yet.
No, they haven't done that yet. All they've done is they
Poured the
poured
footing,
they
they got
poured
in
the
trouble.
footing for the main house, not even for the garage yet. They haven't even poured the footing for the garage yet. So, you know, and as soon as this was brought to our attention, you know, we immediately said, don't pour any walls, don't pour any more footings. Let's get this thing straightened out before you move forward here.
Anything else, or is there a motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve option 2 site plan.
okay, is there a certain date on that or something that we can,
Yeah,
That's the 8/4 one.
8/4.
2023, yep.
okay.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve, application 23-1558 with the revision of
Do that too.
August 4th, 2023 as the accepted remedy for our situation. Okay, any discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Thanks for hearing me out. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Norm.
all right. Was there anything for new business, or?
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
I gotta do the AV side of it too, moving cameras and stuff. There is no new business. I do have, it shows on the agenda, one application under authorized agent. I did receive a second application that I just got today, but it's one I've been waiting for about 2 months, so I've already reviewed it. So both of them I'm comfortable with potentially making action on, so when we get to that point, we can, if you want those applications, we can
Tell
look
us
at
about
those.
this one, though. It's 32.
Okay, so third,
Units.
the Application 23-1569 of Canterbury Holdings LLC for construction of a 32 residential units or 16 duplexes within the 200-foot upland review area at 25 Colonial Drive in the low-density zone. That is part of a previously approved project.
Colonial Drive, place that for me, I can't.
So Upper Maple Street, it's a private road right before 4Gs if you're heading north.
Yep,
It is a private little cul-de-sac there. It was originally approved in 2004 as Upper Maple Street, under Upper Maple Street LLC. Those plans called for a Phase 3. Phase 3 is this property. There is certain improvements, like a drainage basin that was oversized on the property, which would probably test as a wetland now. The application that's been submitted, they did not do the testing. We're just kind of assuming it is a wetland. Other than that basin, there is no wetlands on this portion of the property. In the original application, it was on a different lot, part of that subdivision, or off property. We have submitted some comments to them, or Dave has submitted some comments, because this application is also going to planning and zoning for a special permit application for this development. So some of the comments are related to us a little bit in terms of infiltration and groundwater. We're also looking for a potential easement for a discharge point where there's a proposed retention basin that has an overflow that would be off property that is going towards a wetland. I believe everything is sized appropriately in terms of storm volume, but we're verifying some of that. So
Just hold up one second. So
Yep.
when you say wetland, you're talking about that stormwater pond, right?
no, so that stormwater pond is proposed.
Okay.
And I do have the plan, so I can give you a copy of the, or have you look at the plans here. It's probably a little easier.
Yeah.
I got a small can.
and there's still time that it can go back to an application.
Right, yeah.
There's still time. The biggest thing with this type of application is it is on the agenda for
P&Z.
P&Z, and they won't be able to take action until there's a wetlands action. That being said, staff has looked through it, and provided we're getting the responses to the Dave Cap's comments, and nothing else really comes up, we would be looking to do authorized agent application probably within the next week for that one. So part of the review process, I looked back at our authorized agent things. This review, I like doing this review, keeps the commission involved. Technically, it's not required unless we get an appeal. So if there's an appeal of an authorized agent application, then it would come to you guys and trigger this type of review.
We like this, though.
But I think this works out well, where it keeps everybody in the loop, especially when you hear about a project and you know that maybe was approved at staff level and you didn't know anything about it. At least this way, we're all on the same page. This application, having gone through wetlands before, for wetlands actually on the property, some impacts to those at the time.
So this is where we see those houses that were built in the last 15 years on the right-hand side.
Yep.
Heading towards 4Gs. And then it's coming up, I would assume it goes up behind them?
Yeah, it's at the end, the dead end of the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, you don't even think of it as a cul-de-sac. It looks like a bunch of driveways at this point.
Yep, that's
That's
where
what I
that
was thinking.
parcel is. It's a fairly large proposal, but it's in line with the original application in terms of size and
Yep.
number of units. But the layout is different than what was originally approved.
I'd be curious to see it, 16 duplexes on 6.5 acres.
Yep. Rodney has the plans there, so I just have the one copy. Actually, I might be able to pull it up too.
So you're saying where this existing drainage system empties, that's where the wetland is now?
So on the northern part of the property,
Yep.
there's an area that's identified as existing infiltration
Yes.
basin to
Yep.
remain. There's also a tag that says common open space. That's something we're having them remove. That's not open space. But that one right there has existing drainage that goes into it. I would assume that if we tested the bottom of that, it would test as a wetland, considering the project has been around for so long. That being said, there is, proposal to add to that basin.
I was gonna
but
say, they're grading right in there,
they're,
according to these plans.
yeah, they're doing some proposed regrading on the edge, but not at the base.
But they're, yeah, I mean, this shows them expanding that 270.
Okay, yeah, I'm mistaken.
Contour.
Yeah, they're making it larger to accommodate. Let me see if I can share this.
It seems like a lot of project for, no
Yes.
insult to you, but it seems like a lot of project for
Yes.
agent approval.
Yep.
Yeah. That's where I'm going. I mean, it looks like they're doing some work right in that wetland.
So-
This probably should be a full application. It's just my opinion.
Okay.
Oh, he's got it.
Yeah.
It's up there now.
Yep. So the area we're talking about is up here.
Yeah.
It's more northern part of the project, and then there's a new proposed basin to the south, which I think there might be a detail. Yeah. So that's the proposal right there. See if we can get to the grading. So yes, I was mistaken. There is some regrading in that area. You can see off of Colonial Drive where that existing discharge is and manhole is, and they're kind of closing in this basin right now.
So, so if we believe that is now a wetland, obviously that should be delineated. We need to know how many square feet they're gonna be altering over there to increase the size of that wetland.
Okay.
Now, we can accept this as a new application this evening, so it doesn't,
I don't
That's
see
up
why
the
not.
timeline.
We can receive
Right.
it
Right, yeah, I don't see why
tonight, and I will relay to, I believe.
no, it's nothing
Bob DeLuca?
personal, and you do a very good
Yeah.
job on things, but it's
Yep.
just that it's just big enough. It goes back to the same as like before, if you let the retaining wall, it's precedent.
Well,
John.
Ronnie's correct. If that area
It's now a
that where
wetlands.
they're doing regrading, if it does test positive,
Yep.
then it's not appropriate for it to be a
Right.
staff level
Yes.
application.
Yeah.
So
So-
it is very dependent on the testing in that area.
Tell Bob DeLuca, Rodney wants,
Yeah.
Rodney
A lot of
wants
stuff.
more information,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Lots of stuff.
I will
Lots
let
of
him know.
stuff.
Yeah. So
Do we need a site walk out there? I would think not.
I
What do
don't
you think?
so.
That must be a motion to table this for action next month as a regular application without a site walk.
Yes, that is a motion.
Motion's made and seconded to table application 23-1569 of Canterbury Holdings for use as a full application starting next month, and the staff will be requesting the information we asked for.
Yep,
No
I will.
sidewalk.
I'll be reaching out to the applicant.
Okay, all in
Great.
favor?
Aye.
All right. That's just safer.
Yeah, no, that makes
Anything
sense.
that doesn't have the potential to bite you later is a better thing.
No, especially if that is testing, and I missed that actually on my end. So
Yeah, and it should test as wetlands after this long. That project's been in there longer than you
I
think.
would assume it would test, but you never know.
You never know. I mean, if it dries out quite often, which it might, then, wetland soils may not have developed, even though it's been 15 years
Yeah.
probably since it's been in place. So.
It's very dependent, I think, on the original construction too. The
Yeah.
materials that were introduced. The one that I just received, which is not on here, so this would be for agent review. It's not within the time frame where we could receive it as a commission, if that makes
Okay.
sense. It's supposed to be 3 business days by our rules. So
Okay.
this is for 47 Quince Hill road. It is a construction of a single-family residence with septic system, well, driveway. It was part of also a 2004 plan, 2003. Let's see the exact sign-off date. I have the original approved plan. But it was part of a subdivision, 2004. So as part of subdivision, that subdivision did involve a wetlands approval. This is one of the remaining lots. There are some wetlands in the vicinity and on the extreme edge of this same lot. They're proposing no impacts, no discharge. They meet minimum separation distances that are required under the rules. I have had them go out and redelineate from the 2004, so I have that letter from Joe Thoreau, redelineating and reflagging that area and the updated plan. So if you guys want to look at this too, and I can pull it up if you want.
Yeah,
It makes sense because that way you can give them a heads up if it probably isn't,
yes.
if there would be a problem or not.
There had been way too much time to not redelineate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a long time to pass.
I will pull that one up as well.
The wetlands shown on here, the updated?
The wetlands on here are the updated.
Yep.
And the original, was it Messier plan?
Yep.
Was the old one. So you have a small wetlands pocket here to the north that's behind a stone wall. Another continuation of wetlands here. And to the east, wetlands. I don't know if it is fully reflected on this plan, but it is on the original plans. In this same area as the wetlands and to the north, there is a conservation easement. We're outside of that, and one of the requirements I know on the staff end, not necessarily a wetlands requirement, we're gonna ask for wetlands discs.
Where
but
are we on
also-
Quinns Hill? Are we, must be by those other 20-year-old
We're-
houses.
Yeah, so when you take a right-hand turn,
Yeah.
off of North Road onto
Yeah.
Quinns Hill, it's as it starts to go downhill, there's
Yeah.
a shared driveway to the back. The other application, or the other plan, the approved plan for the subdivision shows a larger scope. So you can see
Okay.
exactly where.
But it's
this
right there
is.
in that midst, that cluster of,
Yep, it
20-year-old
has,
houses.
this lot has frontage on Quinns Hill, but it comes in off a shared driveway off the back, because the front is all wetlands, and now has been put into conservation as well. So this matches up. The house is a little bit longer than the original approved plan. It was a little more boxy than before. In terms of real impacts and stuff, everything's sloping down towards the wetlands, but you have most of our separations all accounted for. This is on the, the septic system is pretty close to the 100-foot line, but not quite. Typically on an application like this, if this hadn't been so long, it had already been looked at, the delineations matching up, typically we would have just approved this at staff level, assuming they had kept their application up, but there was a lapse. So that's why it's back and they're applying for it here.
what do you think? Do you think that meets everything if he does?
Yeah, I'm just reading through Joe Thoreau's report real quick.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then
sense.
there's, of course, all the details and jargon on there as well. Pretty boilerplate. I can zoom in too if that's helpful. Attempt to. These small computers are a little slow. And So staff's been up here. I don't have photos for you. The only real disturbance that I saw in this area was about in the area of the proposed house. Previous owner had started digging a foundation hole, didn't pour, didn't do anything. I think around that same time they came in to me for an application. I let them know that everything had lapsed, they had to reapply, and they ended up selling it.
Where is Wetland C, Wetland Series C?
Right there,
Oh, okay.
way up. That's starting to go closer to the roadway.
Okay. Because he says that's a water course.
So there is in the original approved plans some footing drains
Yep.
that come off some of these other properties, and there's also a drainage easement, I believe, for the town of Killingly in this area.
And that's probably where
This
it
all
all
goes
goes.
downhill
Probably
towards
where it all Yeah.
part of the Five Ponds
Yeah.
area. So a lot of hill, a lot of upper recharge area that
Yeah.
would be looking for a way to get downhill.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious how close it was.
What's your feeling if he acts on it during the month?
Yeah.
Should be,
I think the agent approval should be fine.
but still bring it back and keep it on the official list.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
I'll still bring it back to you to let you know that
Yeah.
it was approved.
Yeah.
And that this one, you know,
I like that.
came in today, but I was like,
Yeah.
I have a few minutes, I can quickly get it in
Yeah.
front of you guys. I still have to enter it into our system.
Okay.
So, but that's all I have for agent.
And then next month will be the second Monday, is that how we have it scheduled? Because I don't think we.
There's a
did it
holiday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's.
So it'll be the second Monday.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Nobody has any vacations coming up in September.
Not at the
I
moment.
do.
You do?
You do?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Okay.
Aren't you special?
The nice
Yeah.
thing is.
And then
we're-
I'll do October, so you
Yeah.
can do September and then I'll do
There you go.
Freiburg.
We're only a 3-member quorum now,
I know, isn't that nice?
which is nice.
Yes.
Yep.
And Paul is actually pretty accessible.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I think we're set then.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, just hold on one second. Let me get us off Facebook.
Oh,